Welcome back, everybody, back with a video. Today we are doing a PVE tier list. Wow, who would have thought? Me doing a PVE tier list, right? I've literally only uploaded mostly PvP. But of course, young man's gonna, dive into both, right? If you've noticed from my recent contents, I've been doing both now, PvE and PvP, right? So, let's get into it. Now, I'm saying this right off the bat. This list is based off of what I upload, what I use specifically, right? Right? Keep that in mind. That's very, very important to remember. This is based off what I use, what I upload, all that good stuff, and a friend from Aesthetica, which I will be mentioning later on. Shout outs to them. But I'll talk about that when we do get there, right? So let's get into it, right? In the S tier, it's going to be Fene, Bree, Tamarine. These three characters can be pretty much be used in like 90% of the content. And again, keep in mind, there's no more nightmare raids. There's no more raids in general, right? So, honestly, there literally is, in terms of PvE content, Abyss, Expeditions, Hall of Constellations, and that's really about it in terms of what we're really looking at for PvE content, right? I'm not going to be looking at Hall of Trials because that changes every week. I'm not going to be looking at Automaton Tower because that's pretty easy to beat. But yeah, I also do not have a Hunt Hell now because I haven't touched it yet and because it's really, really easy. So from what people used before, can they technically still be used now? So there's really not that much of a difference personally. But again, I'll be talking about that later on. In a separate video, not really this video specifically, right? So if you are looking for a Hunt Hell team, I am not going to be talking about that in this video. Because again, it's very, very easy, and it's just not, it's not hard, right? But again, I'll talk about that later on. But back to the list. Fene, Bree, Tamarine. Pretty much you are using these three main PvP characters to pretty much set your account up. Abyss, Expeditions, even story farming at that point, right? These three characters are pretty damn good, and you are using them almost most of your time early on. Even later on, as a veteran myself, I still use these three characters because they are, respectively, their best in slots in Expeditions, certain stages of Perdition. Overall, fantastic units. Easily S-tier material. I don't think anyone else comes close to these three characters at all whatsoever, right? Again, would really recommend building every single one of them, right? And Bree is free. Tamarine is free. Fene is the only one you really have to summon for. But again, she's very, very good. She's OP broken. Next is going to be A tier. I'm adding Ras now. I forgot to include him earlier. I was going to wait on him because I want to make a new account and fully test him out inside of Abyss and all that. But just knowing that his S2, reduces the HP by 25% in Abyss is more than enough for me to put him in A tier alone, right? He's not going to work in Expeditions. He's not going to work in the Perditions, Hall of Constellations and all that. The debuff does not work. But the debuff does work inside of Abyss and Hunts. So he potentially can make your life much, much easier once you do unlock this character. Now again, it is going to take some time to unlock him. But overall, I think he's going to be a new must-have character for Abyss. He is definitely going to be saving you a lot of struggles, reducing the HP by 25%. You could do a lot with that. You really can. But, other than that, hope you enjoy the rest of the list. A tier, we have Camilla, Commander Lorena, Adventure Raz, Issaria, Terranor Guard. Camilla, Dual Attack Queen. Very, very lovely. Expeditions, Abyss, Otherworld Breach. The actual Otherworld Breach, right? Not the Otherworldly Hunt, but actually Otherworld Breach. Abyss, Expeditions, Expo, very, very fantastic unit. Now, the only reason I don't have her in S tier because I don't think she's the same level. Don't get me wrong, I think she's great and all that, but you really do need Tachi's on here personally. Tachi is really, really nice to get this. You can just turn her skills off, and she will guarantee dual attack with the highest ally every single turn. So you do need Tachi's. That is the main reason I do not have her in S tier. She's good, don't get me wrong, but man, that Tachi really make a big old difference. I've noticed it, because I finally put my Tachi on there to test it out for the Otherworld Breach Bologna video I made. Wow, that feels good. It feels real good, but you don't need it. Trust me, you don't need it. But overall, she's a very, very good unit. Dual attack unit, which you will be using a lot. And it doesn't really cost that much in terms of really upgrading this character. because she's a 3-star, so all you really need is Stigma. Commander Lorena, very, very good DPS. She is getting buffed quite a bit. So she still be good inside of Abyss, but if not Abyss, she's still good in Dark Expedition. But overall, a very, very fantastic early on DPS. Adventuress, early on DPS, if you are manually, you really want to use this character. Defense break S2, bring the highest ally with attack. Very, very good unit. Defense buff and all that. Very, very, very good knight, especially earlier on. Later on, don't really use them that much after you do like Abyss and all that. Don't really use him that much, but he's still phenomenal, right? Still phenomenal when it comes to mostly PvE content, right? This area, basically, duo with Tamarine, still the best duo in all these years. Terranor Guard, very, very good, another dual attack unit, but he does increase CR as well on top of that. Very, very good when it comes to Abyss, still good in Fire Expedition. Overall, solid unit, right? Just like Camilla, but a little bit weaker than Camilla in my opinion. Next, we have B tier, which is going to be Arbiter Vildred, Archdemon, and Spectre Tenebria. Arbiter Vildred is mainly going to be your everyday farmer. If you are still struggling in terms of your Moonlight Blessing, please pick Arbiter Vildred. There is literally no other option here. Arbiter Vildred, in my opinion, is going to be your sole DPS carry. Literally. For any PvE content. Archdemon Mercedes, just like Camilla, but an MO5. So therefore, obviously you have to pull her, right? Now, is she really worth on the boss selector? That is up to you. I think Strawze is much better. Right? Archdemon, literally, her EE, make this character very, very good for any PvE content. You turn her skills off. Her S1 is always going to dual attack with the ally with the highest attack. No defense breaks, but overall, a very, very, very good unit. I love this unit. The only reason I don't put her higher is because she's an MO5, so you kind of have to summon for it, right? Spectre Tenebria, very good when it comes to Abyss, but this is not the same tier. These are not the same units at all. You know what? Just to make this easier for me, let's go up here. Let's drag all this way up here. Boom. There you go. there you go. Don't get me wrong. Again, I think Arbiter Vildred is insane, but Mercedes, they're not the same level. I think Spectre Tenebria is mainly for Abyss, so I do want to mention that strictly, because besides Abyss, I don't use this character whatsoever, right? Now let's talk about the healers. We do have healers here, which honestly, healers are healers. It is what it is. If you don't have Tamarine, these are some other decent healers in the meantime until you do get Tamarine, for just in general content, right? Momo, 3-star, Doris, 3-star, Katie's 4-star, pretty easy units to acquire, pretty easy to build these characters, especially Momo and Doris, really only need Stigma. Katie's, you gotta use Molagora, Destina, yeah, again, they are in order, by the way. Keep that in mind. I do have them in order. I do recommend these characters more than Destina, just because she costs Molagora. These characters don't. If you don't have Tamarine, just until you get Tamarine in the meantime. So it's just really up to you. Now we have one-shots Otherworldly, which I do use these one-shots pretty much for... Again, this is based on my videos. So I literally use Aram, Strawze, and Wachishuri for 4 out of my 5 hunts. If you want to go check that video out, go check it out. Again, I pretty much use one team to almost beat every single Otherworldly hunt. Right? So again, this is based on my videos. Keep that in mind. There is other videos, and there's some other comps I do know, but I'm not really including them because it's different for everybody. Right? So we do have Vivian a little bit recently for the Banshee one shot that I did upload. We do have Hua Young and Conquer Lilius. Also not a bad option as well. It does increase it for when it comes to Wyvern and all that. But other than that, yeah, I mean, yeah, it is what it is, right? I'm pretty sure this actually can work. Hear me out. I think these can work as well inside of the other hunts, but I can't really quote you on that from my understanding. But I'm pretty sure you could because of how Conquer Lilius or her buff changer increases the team CR, while Young gets 50%. Well, while Young gets pushed up by 20%, she can push up the ally in the back, and I can understand why it really works. So I definitely can see why those characters are much used, and because it will lower your gear requirement by a lot. But now, let's scroll down. We do have Earth Expeditions. I do have the tier list set up in terms of Expeditions and Perditions and all that good stuff to hopefully make your life much easier. Instead of me just throwing them all together and just talking about them, right? So Earth Expeditions, again, keep in mind, they are in order. These are going to be the characters you do need. You desperately need Fire Cecilia, Kana, and Mercedes. the 4th slot is changeable pretty much, right? You could either have Sage Bow, or not Sage Bow. You have Bow, Sazan, you have Tenebria. Doesn't really matter. I've seen some Tamarine in there if you are still early on. It's perfectly fine, right? But these are the greatest options for when it comes to Earth Expedition, in terms of especially one-shotting, right? It does help you early on. Again, even if you don't one-shot, as long as you got a score, good enough. That's all we care about, right? But these are going to be the best options. Again, they are in order, by the way. Fire Expedition, pretty much the best team in slot. 2 of the characters being free. You do not need Archdemon Mercedes. I could grab Camilla, and we can move her down here as well. Another good option, right? Very, very nice option for this as well. You don't need Archdemon. It's preferred because it always brings Tene. Oh, yeah, Fene. It's quicker and all that, but less animations. But again, if you do not have Archdemon, Camilla is perfectly fine. Next is going to be the Ice Expedition, which is going to be Brig, Tamarine, which yet again, these 2 characters you use quite a bit. Fenris, Lika, I can never say her name. These 4 are the best in slot, and if you want to switch DPSs, it'll be between Rem, Sid, Hilga. There's a lot of different team comps you can do for Ice Expedition, right? You can actually even throw in Rowana as well, if you really want to. Let me go grab her from the Perditions down here. There you go. Not too shabby as well. There's a lot of stuff you can do for this. A lot of stuff you can do for Ice Expedition. It's one of the easier ones, right? Now, Light Expedition. This is in terms of the best teams over here. We do have Cerise, Sarmia, and Carmen Rose. The 4th slot can be interchangeable, either between Chloe or Aiden. Dark Expedition, we have Brig, Tamarine. Again, these characters are very, very popular. And we do have Fene, Shuri, and Sarmia. Very, very good. I may throw up an image up on the screen while I'm talking about these expeditions in terms of their builds and all that. I'm not too sure. But if it is up there, it is up there. If not, it's not. Now, let's talk about the Perditions. Again, shout out to Aesthetica for making this beautiful guide. Again, that is our Discord, by the way, if you have any other questions as well. But, again, shout out to Aesthetica. So, the Perdition teams are going to be one of the better teams. All these teams here are basically shown on the guide and the builds and basically what to do. These Perdition teams are pretty easy to do, in my opinion, but it does require some ML5 units. But again, it is Perdition, by the way. I am strictly talking about Perdition. If it was a Nightmare, I would include it. But if not, it's pretty easy, right? Nightmare is pretty easy earlier on. Again, you could just go in order if you really want to. But again, I'll be talking about Perdition later on in future videos. But right now, currently, I do think these are one of the better comps or / best comps for these Perditions. But other than that, though, that's pretty much going to be covering the PvE tier list. Hopefully you liked how I set it up. Again, I could have just thrown every character in their own rightful tier, but I think that's just a lot of jumbo, and this just makes it much easier for you to really understand. But other than that, though, thank you guys for watching the video. Hope you have a good day, and I will see you guys later on. Peace out.